Hi, today I'm going to talk to you about SpaceX. Welcome to Sustainable Profits. My name is Sasja Beslik, and please do not forget to subscribe. SpaceX, the biggest IPO company industry story in the last 100 years. It has been out, and it is out. It's the biggest IPO in history. It's $750 billion, making Elon Musk one of the richest, or the richest person in the world, a trillionaire. Something that has been around in the media last couple of days. A very interesting story, and it's also posing a question: what is really happening on the market right now, and why is SpaceX so interesting IPO, and why are people throwing money at Elon Musk right now? The interesting thing about SpaceX, it's not really a company, it's an industry. And the entire idea of launching the IPO on SpaceX was to cover other elements of the sort of a network of the companies that are behind SpaceX. One of them Starlink, the other AI, sort of a data-driven companies, and of course the launching exercise of the rockets to reach the moon itself or other planets as well. So there's a lot of speculation around this, a lot of expectation and a lot of narrative about SpaceX. Company itself is very secretive. There is a little information out there, very difficult to find information and also assess information. But some of the research I have done on SpaceX is clearly indicating that this company is indeed different from many others. It violates environmental regulation. It pays its fines, yes, but it actually does not pay any attention to it. It violates regulation on employment regulation in the US. It violates all kinds of community expectations and regulation related to consultation of local communities due to the launching of rockets into the space. And in so many different ways, it's violating also the governance codes of the companies around the world, because the governance structure of SpaceX, it's not what we have seen before. And it's concentrating the power to one sole person, which is the Mr. Elon Musk himself. And this seems to be not really a problematic issue for billions, or I would say not billions, but millions of people around the world throwing money at SpaceX right now with a huge expectations on the payout going forward. Of course, there's a lot of speculation on this, and there is a lot of expectation in this. But if we are looking at the way how this huge IPO has been viewed from sort of a sustainability, ESG type of impact investments, and if we're looking at the SpaceX from that perspective to understand what's really behind the surface and what company is doing, I have personally done some digging and research. I've looked at the records in the US. I've looked at what has been written by investigating journalists. And the conclusion is following. The SpaceX has no environmental policy. They have no targets on CO2 emissions. They have no governance structure how to manage that risk, no interest of doing so. And they are using its own power, especially in relating to their own labor force. In some cases, I think latest information, actually dating back to from 2022 and 23, is that there were about 600 labor-related incidents in SpaceX over the years, and many of them with a quite brutal nature. People lost their limbs, crushed, and so forth and so on. In general, if you're looking at this kind of company, what you're trying to understand as investors is what kind of a risk is present in the company that I don't see, that can cost me money, that I can lose on going forward. And you're trying to assess the ability of the company to manage these risks, and how much do you get actually pay for that particular risk. When it comes to environmental and carbon or climate related risk, this company is a mega emitter, because if you're looking at the emissions that are estimated on the basis of the rockets that have been shot up in the space from SpaceX last couple of years, it's about 50,000 tons of CO2 emissions per year just for the current launching sort of a scheme that has been conducted by SpaceX. Now, Elon Musk is planning to launch 50,000 more Starlink satellites in the space. So far, there have been only 4,000 launched, and we know, many of us living today on the planet Earth, that Starlink has in many ways changed not only the life of people, but also ability of people to survive. If misused and miscontrolled, it can cause a problem. We have seen that around the world too. One of the biggest risks in the SpaceX is governance angle. The control is total and it's controlled by one single person. The shareholder rights are taken aside, and I think in this particular case, due to the fact that Elon Musk is well connected in Washington, it's also the way how the IPO has been guarded or protected from a certain type of rules that will apply to other companies. Now, many people around the world are throwing money at SpaceX, hoping that they will get rich and happy and maybe get a ticket to Mars or some other planet, which is, of course, very good. But there are many people questioning the motives and also questioning the monopoly that this new type of industry will create in the space. And for those who are not really willing to participate in this, it's becoming quite complex, because becoming one of the biggest IPOs in the world, it's qualified itself as one of the top 100 companies in the world. As such, as we know, the asset managers, pension companies, institutional investors are getting exposure to these global indices and indirectly to SpaceX. Your pension, my pension, and many other investments around the world who are not really willing to support the adventure in the space and would like to do something else with their money are indirectly, or in many cases directly, exposed to SpaceX. Now, we have to ask ourselves question, you and I, if this is something we really want to support. Do we really want to create a monopoly, industrial type scale monopoly in the space run by one single company without very little governance inside, and also very little ability for us, you and me and many others, millions, billions around the world, to control what's really going on? The question is out there, and I'm really curious to see how this huge IPO that has just been realized on the Wall Street will pay back in next couple of years. And if it doesn't pay back, it means in many ways that a lot of people will, of course, be punished by this, not only by losing money, but also losing probably a credibility in the way how they view the big IPOs going forward. That will be all on SpaceX.